Hey guys, I'm Bill Bryan, co-founder of Empty Casket Paranormal and Get Haunted.
And I'm Tanya Gilroy, and I am co-founder of Empty Casket Paranormal and Get Haunted.
And I'm Rob Stakowitz, co-founder of Get Haunted, Spectre Paranormal, and by proxy, whether they like it or not, I'm with Empty Casket Paranormal as well. All right, so, since we started this whole thing, there have been a lot of questions. Some of them are really hard to nail down and to put a definitive answer on, but we'll do our best. So we took a bunch of the questions that we received, put them into a list, and we'll try to address them here and now. So probably the number one question that people have, and I think even ourselves at times, is this, what exactly is Get Haunted and the Get Haunted network? And, it started out as something and morphed into something I never really expected it to become. Initially it was just going to be, a cool blog, a place for people to share stories and evidence, and also, a web shop where we could sell some cool gear, some unique items that aren't necessarily easy to get anywhere else. The intent was very small at first, but as things kind of grew and as, my situations in my own life changed, I was thinking a lot about what this field really, really needs, in my opinion. So with that, it started blossoming into this network, at least in theory. And so far, I think it's been a really good start. So basically, without giving you a real solid answer, it's a place to bring everyone together, to open up an awful lot of doors and potential for people inside of the field, including the awesome people, the location owners that make these places available to paranormal teams, to individuals, and to investigators. So, in a nutshell, a community, a place to collaborate, and a place to share. And with some of the other questions that we'll read for you shortly, some of those things will become apparent. And the reason it's so hard to nail down exactly what Get Haunted is that I want it to be organic. I really wanted to shape shift and morph into what the people that are in the network actually want and need. So what it is today might be different tomorrow, which might be different in 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. At the end of the day, I just want it to be something that everybody can utilize and benefit from.
And okay. that morphing is something that we've seen right from the very beginning, because what you and I started talking about a few months ago is not what we're currently doing with Get Haunted. It has transformed and grown quite a bit since we first started talking about this.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Initially for me, it was, once I left my last paranormal position, it was, all right, what am I going to do now? I need to get back out there and I want to do some things. I want to find some people that I can do it with. And initially it was kind of a very, localized thing for me and, some of my friends. And what it turned into is something much more spectacular.
Yeah. And this is going to keep growing and morphing and becoming something completely amazing. All right, so moving on to our next question. What is your background in the paranormal and how did you get into this? So I guess we'll all go through this and give our backgrounds. I'll start. I first started getting into the paranormal when the Ghost Hunter show started back in, well, I was in college. So was it 15, 16 years ago, whatever it is. And so we started a little ghost hunting group in college and went out to a few places like Centralia and Gettysburg and a few local places. And I kind of got bit by the bug, and I would get out whenever I could over the years. I mean, none of my friends were really into it, so it was always just me by myself. And then when my brother got out of the Army, we went down to Gettysburg, and I kind of fell in love with ghost hunting, and started making a point to go far more often than I was before. And so I'd get out, do as much as I could, and then when Tanya and I started dating, we found out that we both had similar interests, and once again we went down to Gettysburg and just had the time of our life doing ghost hunting most of the time that we were there, and it was completely amazing. And we decided at that point that we need to create our own group so that we can start doing this more often and be a little bit more legit. And so we created Empty Casket. Started doing the podcast. I started making gear for ourselves just because, you know, gear is expensive, and I have a degree in electrical engineering, so I just figured I'll just make my own. And then as time goes on, we were investigating more places, and on a ghost hunt, we met Rob, and Rob convinced us that we need to do more. And one of those things was to start selling our gear. So now I make and sell gear, and we've became fast friends and been doing ghost hunting together ever since. And now working on Get Haunted, and pulling us into Spectre, and it's just been a fantastic experience so far.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. So with my old job, I got to meet, God, thousands and thousands of people, and loved a lot of them. A lot of them were very, very cool. Some weren't, but that's just how it goes when you're dealing with the public. But when I ran into you guys that night, it was a very small group for that location, and I was a little bit worried, right? Because at that location, small groups just usually aren't fun. But there was a lot of things that night that made that night probably one of my favorite nights ever ghost hunting. Aside from all of the activity that we caught and you captured, you guys were just awesome, and you both have a style that I like, and it kind of worked well with my style, and we balanced each other out. Where I get crazy excited sometimes. You guys keep your cool a lot better than I do, but it was just
we just freak out on the inside.
yeah, I freak out externally, as evidenced in your video, but yeah, it was just something really right about that night, and call it fate, whatever you want to call it. The biggest night that I was ever worried about an event, like really worried about it, because again, you need that battery of people to get the place charged up. Well, we didn't need that night, and kind of disproved my theory. We just had a great time, and you guys were awesome. And from there it was, yeah, let's keep doing stuff together.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal investigation, and like you said, we really just hit it off right at the start of it, and
There's a lot of synchronicities.
a lot of synchronicities. It I won't get into all of that now, but there's a lot that kind of weird things that happened to push us to be there at that night, and so this almost seems fated.
Yep. And I will admit, one of the first things that did catch my eye was your equipment. You do make amazing equipment. And I was like, ooh, look at this stuff. And people that know me know I used to make or tend to make equipment. And after meeting you, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna let Bill make all that equipment, because mine didn't compare. And that let me focus on some other things. So this whole thing just kind of works really, really well.
Yeah. So Tanya, you want to continue on?
You see, I was into the paranormal since a child. It's something that I grew up with. It's been a natural part of my existence. And then I guess when the ghost shows and stuff started coming on, I got more interested in that. But I never really had that opportunity to go out and do investigations like I have been now. And when I met Bill, that all kind of came together, and it you kind of summed up that whole part. But here we are right now, moving on to the next phase.
Yeah, don't forget that you also grew up in a haunted house.
Yeah.
which we're recording this in right now.
Yeah, that definitely helps push you in that direction.
Yeah.
Oh God. That's it, Tanya.
Yeah, that I mean,
Okay.
Bill, you kind of added all the extras.
Yeah,
I mean,
we did. We did.
Ghost here with you now.
Yep.
For me, my story kind of goes back to 2000, the year 2000. Went down to Cape May to celebrate a birthday and stayed at the Southern Mansion. Uh, my wife, we weren't married yet, but she hated the room we were in. Let me just back up a second. Like, I wasn't into the paranormal. I didn't disbelieve, never had an experience, never even thought about going after it at that point in my life. But she hated the room. We were there a few days, and it's just kind of miserable because she couldn't sleep. She was uncomfortable. She was hearing things. Every time she took a shower, the light bulb would blow out in the bathroom. And honestly, I just chalked it up to an old house. And on the third or fourth night there, I don't remember exactly, but I woke up and I saw this woman in our room. So I jumped out of the bed. She was gone, and I was like, "Oh my God! Like, did I just see a ghost?" We went downtown, got this book, and sure enough, man, there was a story about this room in that hotel that has a ghost in it, and lo and behold, it was our room. So that kind of piqued my interest. Not much happened afterwards. I didn't go looking. My dad lived with us. He was very sick. My daughter was 2, and they were like best friends. After he passed away, just the weirdest stuff ever started happening in this house, to the point where I was like, I'm going to burn this place down because I didn't like it. I just didn't like it. But that's really what got me looking into it. And I started going out with different groups. Did all kinds of different places and finally landed on one. From there, I was kind of doing public events for the last 4 or 5 years, which is where I got to meet all those thousands of people that I talked about. Now I've moved on to another chapter of that. So, in all of the events and locations I've investigated, for me, I still don't have all the answers. I still want them, but my favorite thing is getting out there and being with, like-minded people and getting, that evidence and those EVPs and those knocks and whistles and bells ringing, all kinds of cool stuff that we've got, to experience over the past 4 or 5 years. That's my story.
Yeah, we all got into it at different reasons and at different times, but we all came together in the end.
Yep, that's for sure.
Tanya, you want to take the next one?
Yep. So, how do I benefit by being part of the network? I think I can probably speak on behalf of all of us that our main focus is to kind of bring people of all walks of life who are interested in the paranormal and beyond to kind of come together and learn from each other and network with each other, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What we want to do is have it benefit everyone, not to kind of ostracize anybody, but to bring everyone together and allow for, the capability of accessing locations that many people like us who are small, paranormal research that don't have that access. And to, share techniques and share equipment and ideas and to kind of bring that all together on an open network so everyone can be part of it.
Right. And just to add to that, Tanya and I have met some people on ghost hunts that we've become friends with, and we work together to rent out places from time to time. And, prior to us meeting those people, a lot of the places were just too expensive for us to rent out on our own. being part of the Get Haunted network, if you're an individual and you want to get out places, you can post, hey, I want to go here and rent this place out. Is anyone interested in going in on it with me? Or if you have an idea for gear, but you don't know how to make it, you don't know where to start, you don't have that skill set, well, you can reach out to one of the people in the network that make gear and collaborate with them. If you're start a YouTube channel, or to get into podcasting or something, you could reach out to somebody else in the network that does YouTube or the podcast thing, and kind of pick their brain and help, and they'll help you kind of get going in what it is you want to do in this field.
I know for you and I, we've been fortunate enough to have only met people that were very helpful and friendly and open and wanting to include us and wanting to share those things. But I know there's other people that we've spoken to that were like, we always feel we get left out, or we've had some bad issues with other groups, and we kind of want to eliminate that and bring people together and share those things, because we realize that by sharing and talking and having making friendships and networking and stuff like that, it builds it builds more data, it gives us more information, it makes us seem more professional.
Yeah, there's a lot to everything you two just said, and we already saw a couple of examples, and one you didn't see actually on the group page at least is, somebody needed a logo made for their team, and they just didn't know how to go about it. So that's another part of this is, and something we're working on in the background, is building this database of skill sets, right? So if you need help making a logo, there's somebody out there that's good at it. There's probably 10 people that are good at it and willing to help you. So everything from making logos to, as Bill pointed out, equipment to, and another great one was, getting into these locations, maybe co-hosting an event. If you're going to go spend $900 to get your 5-person team in there, that's super expensive for everybody. But let's say you team up with another team, you can start now subsidizing the cost of these things. And by the way, when teams work in silos and it's always just the same 5, 6, 8, 9 people, whatever it is, you don't really grow, right? You're not going to get out there and learn more unless you're really diligent about it. You kind of get set in your ways and your styles and your techniques. But when you work with other people, you start seeing things that, even after all these years of doing this, I'm like, damn, I didn't know I could do that, or that's a really good idea. So that network, this is an example of why it's so hard to define exactly what it is, right? So if we have all these components and help facilitate these things, it's super powerful, and it's unlike anything that at least I know about in the field right now.
And it also benefits other, like the locations themselves. I know that we've gone to many places where they say, what you're paying for is, the maintenance of these buildings, the history of these buildings. And I think this Get Haunted will actually open up the doors for more locations to become known. So that also will benefit the people that are trying to restore these places and upkeep them as well.
And that's one of the reasons we want to pull location owners into Get Haunted as well, so that if they need volunteers, if they need something, some help with something, they can reach out to the Get Haunted network. People who have been there, people who love that place and investigated it and all that, and get volunteers to come in and help out.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Because we all have places that we love and that we appreciate, and hopefully that will bring not like more people in to help out and provide assistance when needed.
Exactly. So we can probably answer that question for the next hour or two, because what we get out of Get Haunted is really endless. Well, we can give example after example, but the bottom line is we're here to help each other. So what do you get out of it? Whatever you need.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the goal. And you know what? It's always nice to be with people that share your passions. So at a minimum, having a place to go and talk, and you know, we got a bunch of admins. I probably made too many, but I don't want to see any nonsense happening in the group page. And I haven't seen any yet. Like so far, it's been really, really good. But I just want a place where people can go and, like I said, at a minimum, have a place to chat and at its fullest potential, network, link up with other teams, uh, find cool equipment, help build your own merch, whatever you need help with. That's the idea of the network.
Yep. So that leads us right into the next question, which is, what do you, meaning us here at Get Haunted, what do we get out of it? Well, we get the same thing out of it that everyone else gets out. I mean, we're just other paranormal investigators. We want access to locations. We want to learn different methodologies. We want to work on gear. We want to do merch. And Tanya and I do the podcast and YouTube thing. Well, a little bit. We try to. Um, but I think we get out of it the same thing that everyone else gets out of it. And on top of that, there's some selfish things in there too. Like we get the joy of having helped create this community and knowing that we've done good stuff. And but yeah, I mean, we're getting the same thing out as you guys.
Yeah, it's that's definitely a part of it. There's a little bit of a commercial aspect to it, right? Because we'll have a store and you can buy Bill's equipment and whatnot, but that's not why we're doing it. We're just making it easy to get to this stuff and get deals. One thing I'm thinking about is, if we can do group buys, right? Everybody wants K2 meters, for example. If I get 100 of us to put an order in, or 10 of us put an order in for 100, we can get better pricing down the road. So again, working together, we can make all of our lives much easier, and maybe save some money and a lot more satisfaction.
Yeah, one of the things that led to this is it's kind of hard to kind of get going in this. If you're starting a YouTube channel, a podcast, or just if you're new and you're kind of starting off and you're looking for information, there's a lot of information out there, but it's hard to kind of weed through the good stuff, the bad stuff, and it's hard to kind of build up. If you're doing the YouTube podcast thing, building up a the your supporters, your audience, it's tough, and it's all word of mouth. So having this network helps out everybody who's doing that, because now you can advertise, hey, I'm starting up this podcast, I'm doing this YouTube channel, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and you can advertise to everybody and kind of help give you a little stepping stone to really dive into it.
And the good thing is that we're not following one particular format. We're not saying what we do is, how we do things is how it has to be. Everyone is welcome to give their own opinions and to say how they do things, how they work investigations, how they make equipment. And we're not going to chastise other people for it either. There's not going to be no, I'm right, you're wrong. Want to, bring together group discussions and collaborate a lot.
Mm-hmm.
100%. All right, I think I have the next question. Are you geared more towards experienced investigators or newbies? The right answer there is kind of both, right? And that's the reason for the network. And I know from personal experience, when I first started out, I was looking for a team. It was like, I think you kind of touched on this, Bill. It was hard, right? I was finding all these local teams, and none of them were like accepting new people, and some of them were didn't even bother to write back, and it was hard. It was hard to get started, right? You had to either go pay a lot of money to go out with one of the big boys, or try to do it on your own and hope you're doing it right. So part of the plan moving forward is some real simple stuff, which we'll talk about in a little bit, to also working with the more experienced people, right? And there's a lot to that. We just did an event or a hangout really at Selma Mansion in Norristown, PA. And we brought along two people that never ghost hunted before. And man, they had a blast, right? So they got to kind of hang with us and build the plan, and it just made for a really cool night, and they had fun, and they're emailing me now and like, hey, I want to do that again. So once you get the bug, it's there. But for them, this all happened by chance. It wasn't intimidating because it was us, and they loved it, and they left with some really good evidence, and more importantly, they had a great time. So yeah, so newbies, brand newbies to seasoned veterans, I think everybody has a place in the Get Haunted network.
Absolutely.
So following off of that one would be, do you teach people new to the paranormal what to do and how to use the equipment? Yes. Something that we've been discussing is doing what we're going to be calling Ghost Hunting 101 seminars. Basically, the idea is to collaborate with other teams and to do seminars that are geared towards people who have limited experience or no experience in the paranormal and want to start learning and doing these investigations. And we're kind of batting around ideas. Some of them are like going to the colleges and doing a seminar, or just having those seminars open so anyone from the public can come in, and we discuss our techniques. We go over equipment, we show how to use them, and maybe in certain circumstances we do mini investigations, like a few hours at a certain place, to let people kind of get their feet wet and experience that first time thrill of paranormal investigation.
And it also gives us an opportunity to bring other groups in on it. If we're doing a long seminar, it could be us leading it, but we could bring in other groups, so you get different opinions and different techniques and methodologies. And ideally, we'd love to do it at a haunted location, so you can get your seminar, get taught how to different methods and how the gear works and all that, and really go deep into it. And then afterwards, we stop, we have some dinner, and then, hey, we're at a haunted location. Let's see what you learned.
Yeah, there's all kinds of fun things that can come out of this. I recently I did something at a place in New Jersey, and it went really, really well. There were some younger people there. It wasn't a ghost hunt, but it kind of turned into one. But there were younger people there that, I was very surprised at how into it younger people are. When I say young, I mean like teenagers. I know my daughter and her friends are into it. So, doing 101s or intro to ghost hunting seminars, whatever it ends up being called, could be a lot of fun for a lot of people who, may not want to go spend a night, overnight in a location, but they're curious enough to go spend, an afternoon somewhere learning how to do this stuff. So I think there's a ton of positive energy that can come out of this thing, and it could be a lot of fun.
And like what you said, Rob, like the younger crowd is into it. Like my daughter, she's 14. Her and her friends are like enthralled that we do this stuff and question mainly Bill a lot about, what it takes and what do we do. And
yeah, I came over here the other day just to drop food off for the kids, and Izzy had her friends over, and I was here for like half hour, 45 minutes answering questions about the paranormal.
But I think that's also important because I've always been an advocate for teaching young kids, especially that age group, the proper way of doing investigations. Usually that age, they start getting curious and they start goofing around and antagonizing and conjuring up things. And we don't want to teach that. We want them to learn properly. And what better way than to teach them ourselves?
Yep, hands-on training is the way to do it. All right. Let's see. Next question. Will Get Haunted be hosting guided ghost hunts? Um, yes, in a nutshell. I would say facilitate is probably the better word to use there. But listen, you'd have to be crazy to think that, us trying to put something together this big and this dynamic, to not host some ghost hunts here and there would be a kind of a silly thought, right? Um, Here's what people need to know. Yeah, probably we'll try to line some things up. It'll be very, very different than anything you've ever seen or been to, so far. I've got a bunch of my own ideas. Bill and Tanya have ideas. It's going to be unique and it's going to be very different. Is it going to be, easy to get into? Probably not. They're going to be very limited, um, for the Get Haunted events, but we're also going to help and work with other teams to host their own events. So yeah, in a nutshell, we'll be doing this stuff. When and where is still being worked out. The hows and whys are pretty much, there's a foundation built. Let's put it that way. So it's going to be awesome. It's going to be fun. Um, is it going to be for everybody? Probably not. But is it going to be for people that love the paranormal? 100%. So yeah, just stay tuned on that one. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be, like I said, very, very unique and very different than anything else you've seen out there.
Yeah, and we've all, helped host events with various groups, and it's a lot of fun. We enjoy doing it. So I'm looking forward to having that opportunity again.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. With all the experience that we all have combined, we know what to do. Most importantly, we know what not to do, I think. And we know what people really want. Like what we did down in at Selma Mansion it was just fun, right? Because
Oh, that was a lot of fun.
And it was people from like everyone did their own thing and did their things differently, but we all came together wonderfully.
Mhm.
Like there was no arguments or fighting or anything like that. It was just fun.
yeah, it was a good time.
And that's kind of like I think what we're hoping to have is different people, different groups come in and being able to have a night where we're learning off of each other and working with each other.
100%.
Exactly. Will I be able to get gear and equipment from Get Haunted? Short answer, yes. We are setting up a store on both the website and on Facebook. Um, Currently, our gear, Empty Casket, is selling on Etsy. Once we get our stores up, we'll be migrating over. Um, I think initially we're going to be a little selective over whose gear we sell, just so we don't get completely bombarded. But eventually, we'll be opening up to more and more groups that make their stuff, being able to sell it. We just don't want to dive too deep too quickly and get hurt in the process. But yes, you will be able to get gear from Get Haunted.
All right. So how can I get involved with helping location owners? And this is something that we probably already covered, but basically it's, we're hoping to have some types of announcements where, asking for volunteers for certain locations. Um, and if you're nearby, if you're close to that location, go out, help them do whatever they need. And our hope is maybe that will end up in a ghost hunt. So if we volunteer to go help clean the chamois and fix it up and do whatever we need to do there, then at the end we can probably do a small ghost hunt in return for volunteering.
Yeah, it's a way for both the location owners and everyone else in Get Haunted to kind of benefit, which is really the driving, force behind this, is that everybody benefits.
Another thing too is like, for example, I live close to a historical cemetery. It's only really known in our area, but we can post, hey, if you are in or around Northeast Pennsylvania, this place is looking for help. It's a way for you to learn different areas and different locations that may have not been known to your team.
Right. Yeah. And to that point, the next question: are groups locations allowed to promote their own events within Get Haunted? Absolutely. That's one of the purposes of Get Haunted existing. If you're a location and you are holding an event, advertise it with Get Haunted. If you're a group and you're holding an event, or you're looking for volunteers, or whatever, host it on Get Haunted. If you're a podcast and you're looking for people to interview, look for people on Get Haunted. So you're more than welcome to advertise your stuff on Get Haunted. That's why we're here.
And I see that a lot on Facebook groups where they're like, absolutely no advertising, absolutely no showing off your equipment and all that. Like, no, that how are you
defeats the
supposed
purpose.
it defeats the purpose of connecting. So I think that's something we really want, is for people to be like, hey, I'm doing this, all's invited, or I need someone to interview for my podcast.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, as long as it's done in a reasonable way, totally cool with us. I mean, we don't care if you start spamming the doors off, then we're going to shut you down. But 100%. And then and a lot of the people that are part of the Get Haunted network already are also part of 10, 15, 20 other groups. And if they start sharing, you're not just reaching the a couple hundred, or I don't even know how many people we have yet. You're not just reaching us, you're reaching all these other groups, which is a good thing, because then it makes the network inside of a network.
Absolutely. Yeah. Get Haunted will eventually just become an umbrella to kind of house everything. And just, this whole community of helping people, and gear, and locations, and investigations, and people working together, all just happens under the umbrella of Get Haunted.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's our whole thing, is that we want everyone to be included and everyone to work together. No more small pockets. We want everyone to kind of come together,
help
and
each other
still
out.
do your own thing. You're not, working under our label. You're not stuck to our rules and our ways. You do your own thing and just go with the flow. And
yeah, it helps take out the arrogance that I've seen in some groups, and the my methods are my methods, my gear is my gear. I don't want to share that with no, just help everybody, work together.
There it is. Sorry, that's the dog.
It's fine.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's fine. He can make a cameo. That's all good. All right. And I believe the last question here, what are your next steps? There's a lot to do. We launched this thing early, way earlier than I expected. It was supposed to be 2022. But we did it this year for a lot of reasons. Number one, establishing charter teams. There has to be some structure inside of this thing, right? And we need help. So we're establishing charter teams, have a few in mind already, for at least for this area. I've been talking with people. Those charter teams will then, kind of help shape, this shape-shifting group or organization, whatever you want to call us. And then we'll start expanding it out further. Alliance partners, I like to call them, location owners, already talking to a bunch of them, ways we can help them, ways they can help us, all for the betterment of the field and for these locations who put a lot of time, effort, and money into, keeping those doors open for us. The website needs a lot of work still. That's on me right now. The web store approved for Facebook. I'm working on my merchant accounts for the website, the skill set directory, and then a whole lot more. So, it's growing. It's awesome so far. And I'm really proud of what we've been able to do in a short amount of time, especially since we weren't planning to launch it right away, but we did it. So most importantly, thanks to everyone that's joined so far and have stuck around. We've had a very low, amount of people jumping off the ship, and it's been really, really cool so far. So please keep spreading the word, help us grow this thing. It's not just ours, it is yours. too, in every sense of the word. So if we can make this work, we can do some really, really tremendous things for the paranormal.
Yeah, everyone that's joined so far has been great, and everyone, the excitement for what we're doing is certainly, and yeah, I can't wait to see where this goes.
Neither can Leo. He's excited.
Super excited.
He's so excited. He's just going to keep barking. So I guess that's probably our cue. We're at 40 minutes right now, maybe a little more. So yeah, thanks guys. I hope this helps everybody understand what the heck we're trying to do. And if not, just ask us. We'll help you understand it.
Yeah, if you have any other questions or comments or thoughts or anything, please reach out to us, and we'll probably do a follow-up video like this at some point when we get more questions in.
And I think we're talking about doing an FAQ on the website.
Yeah.
So all that will be there on the website.
Yeah, so thanks everyone for listening to us ramble
Thank
on
you.
about Get Haunted for better half of an hour.
All right, cool. All right, guys, thanks. And I'll talk to you guys in a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Thanks
Take
everyone.
care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.